Welcome everybody to today's live session. Very excited to talk about a very exciting topic. And together with us is Tom Laidlaw. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
With pleasure. So my name is Tom Laidlaw. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Freeze, and Freeze are a media and events company in the contemporary art space, probably one of the leading brands in contemporary arts globally, bringing together buyers, sellers in the form of art galleries and premium brands around the world.
Yeah, I think everybody knows in London, everybody knows Freeze, right? There is a very well known brand. I thought it would be really good to have Tom with us today because the organization has really demonstrated their digital leadership, especially after COVID. The way you've addressed this very big challenge, and all of the digital transformation around it is definitely demonstrated some leadership in that sense, right? But we're actually here to talk about how AI is impacting CRM and the way marketing teams are going to market with their strategies. So in general, I think marketing leaders are now really trying to find support from technology leaders in organizations. What is it that they are asking from technology leaders? What are marketing teams looking for when they come to the technology team?
I think marketing leaders are wanting to find ways to deploy AI in specific and useful ways. I mean, there's a lot of excitement, particularly amongst executives, on the opportunities and possibilities of AI. And there's perhaps some more reticence further down the management scale on what that actually means, how that actually works, what it might mean for people's jobs, and so on and so forth. And marketing leadership, like every other form of leadership, is trying to bridge that gap, trying to build trust in their teams and trying to leverage specific opportunities to enable AI to increase their efficiency, to cover more ground, to better serve their consumers, and to improve the offering in a number of ways. But I think the key is to find those specific ways that the services can be enhanced, and that's where the technology support comes in.
Yeah, it's quite interesting on the report, the marketing report that we're releasing. We try to understand what are the barriers to implementing this technology, and the executive teams are very eager to get it implemented because they can see the benefit in terms of optimization and making the most out of it. But people actually working, delivering work are a little bit skeptical. I think the report quotes that over 60% of people working marketing teams are not very, they're looking at it from a very skeptical view, right? So what are the challenges that we find when marketing teams come to technology leaders and say, hey, what can we do? We know that from experience, a lot of the times when teams want to get the latest technology, they have internal barriers to getting the technology. And they usually don't have to do with budget. They mostly have to do with the level of readiness in terms of how mature they are digitally. To be able to get the most out of these new innovative techs. What do you think are the core elements that organizations need to have in place before they start implementing this?
I mean, as with any significant technology initiative, there are a few things that need to be in place. I mean, these initiatives, AI, any other, really needs to be part of a broader technology strategy. That strategy needs to be understood widely in the company. It needs to have some internal leadership. It can enable innovation, but the innovation doesn't exist outside of a framework that connects it to the business, and that's really what a technology strategy is for. Additionally, the state of the data in the organization is pretty critical. I mean, that would be true regardless of the initiative, but it's particularly so with AI. I mean, clean and usable, consistent, trustworthy data is an essential starting point.
I think that's probably the two most common denominators of the challenges or the things, the homework that you have to have done at home in your business to be able to make the most out of the tech. Having a sound strategy in terms of building a digital ecosystem that can deliver that value. And we see that data is probably the number one challenge across any industry, right? Some industries, some businesses are more mature in that regard, but with the level of innovation that has been happening over the last years, organizations have been evolving with technologies, and in that process, the data kind of falls out of place, right? So AI particularly requires your data to be good.
It's an essential thing. Yeah. I mean, AI is the mechanics of AI is the processing of data, and your data needs to be ready for that.
Yeah. The other element that I think is quite interesting in this sense is that the data is the glue that binds together the different operational areas of the business. And in some cases, in B2B, with social media, we're now finding that we have to go out and find information that is available, because businesses have information available on the public web, right? But B2C is a lot more complex because there's a lot of unstructured interactions with the end user. How do you find the process of gathering data, structured data, in a B2C environment? Because you have a lot of experience working in B2C organizations, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think deploying AI in a B2C context has some particular challenges. I think, for sure, gathering clean data, using all of the channels that you have to build up a picture of the audience, and then perhaps processing that data to ensure it's normalized and cleaned and consistent and so on. You don't have gaps, and also that you don't have biases sneaking in. There's an awful lot of important stuff that you need to be careful of, and I'm sure any business considering the deployment of AI would have some advice to help them through the stages of that. But certainly, yeah, consumer data capture is a more complex side of this, I think, perhaps for a lot of brands. And I think where AI is then deployed in the delivery of an experience, the brand needs to be confident that there are some guardrails in place around that, and that the AI can't incorrectly use data. It can't produce results that wouldn't be in line with either the customer's experience or the brand's positioning. I mean, there's a whole series.
So that's where the ethical AI comes into play.
In particular, yeah.
So I think one particular element is making sure that the AI elements in your business are non-biased. They don't have embedded bias in it, and having the mechanisms to make sure that you're constantly checking for that. So the governance around AI is very important. Everything around privacy, which leads us to a little bit the question around security and building ethical AI components in your business. What can organizations do to be able to follow that path, or to ensure that there are standards that protect their brand and their customers?
I mean, governance would probably be the first step for this. I mean, maybe it's a preceding step, in fact, before venturing into AI. I mean, an organization that has significant data operations should already have governance process in place with roles and responsibilities and procedures and policies and so on and so forth. And it's worth considering those starting points and maybe any adjustments that might need to be made to enable the company to proceed into deploying AI in addition to the existing uses for data.
Yeah,
I think sorry, I was going to go on to say, I think the first step might be about transparency. I think whatever the opportunity in AI, I think it's very important that, particularly internally within the organization, everybody understands how the AI will be producing what you're requiring of it, whether it's the production of content, whether it's the making of decisions, recommendations, whatever it might be. I think it's really important to understand how that happens.
Yeah.
What are the rules and what are the kind of data and how will they be used? Not a black box. You don't want you want transparency to understand what's happening inside the box, so that everyone has trust in the process.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's very important. Really understanding how it operates. So, as a user that is gonna utilize the output of the AI components, you really want to understand that the way the AI gets to that output is the way you would.
Yeah.
With the same level of scrutiny and security around.
What information is being considered, and how is the consideration process happening, and what that therefore are the parameters for a decision? And that can happen at scale, and that can happen in ways that humans wouldn't be capable of. But everybody involved in the before and the after of an AI decision making or AI content creation process needs to trust in the mechanism for that happening. They need to fundamentally understand what it's doing.
Yeah, they have to understand. And I think that's another element when we talk about how important it is for teams in organizations to learn about AI. I think a lot of times people misunderstand this, and what they think they have to do is learn to build their own tools with AI components. And the first thing that pops to mind or that people talk about is ChatGPT, right? And even though is a very good tool to experiment with, it's not necessarily the right tool to do business practices with, right? So understanding how AI components in technologies can bring value, I think that's where the focus needs to be, how to use the right tools.
Very, very much so. And I think that's the second thing that might be worth considering at the outset here is, not seeing, transparency. What's this AI doing? How is it doing it? What information is it using? But then not seeing it as a replacement, perhaps, for teams and what they do, but seeing it as a way to enhance the teams and increase the capabilities to bring efficiencies rather than replacements for products and the people in the organization who present those products to the customer.
Definitely. Also, the way the AI learns from your organization, if it is in a constrained, structured environment that is transparent, you can really get an output that is safe, that you can rely on, that you can trust. Obviously, a lot of the free tools or the semi-free, cheaper tools are now utilizing mechanisms that send your data outside. So in financial services, for instance, a lot of organizations are saying, don't touch it. We can't really use it. But there are ways, and we particularly like the way Salesforce is doing a lot of things, because in the marketing, in the sales and marketing space, they're implementing AI tools that really enhance your work without necessarily using data that is too critical, right? So I think the education in terms of AI comes more around how to best use the AI tools that have been productized rather than trying to create your own tools.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, producing new AI tools from scratch or from the sort of core functionality of a set of APIs is a complex thing. And it's also something that then needs to get integrated into your existing systems and technology architecture, and that's also complex. But as you say, many widely used enterprise platforms, Salesforce is a great example, but there are lots of those, are starting to productize AI within the existing enterprise software architecture in specific ways that are useful.
Yeah, we come across customers that, because a lot of the work we do is trying to improve the way organizations deliver better value through customer experience. And for that, you need to enhance marketing operations, sales operations, customer service. And what we see is that the manufacturers that are leading the way on AI, they are not giving you tools to build your own things. They're giving you very productized elements that if you know how to use in the context of marketing operations, sales operations, customer service, they will deliver a lot of value. There is this, I think, lack of understanding of what the knowledge around AI needs to be. And unless you're an engineer working on developing a product, I think the focus should be on learning how to use the best tools in the market.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having to your original question of what are marketers, what challenges are marketers giving of technology leadership, I think the answer to those questions is how the existing set of enterprise tools, or perhaps enterprise tools that are solutions to existing challenges on the roadmap, might bring AI functionality along with
Yeah.
that broader set of tools, rather than having it as a standalone set of technical challenges to solve.
When we talk about those skills, I think there are some skills that are generic that you can use across different tools, especially conversational applications. So a lot of people talk about prompt writing. How to, I think that's a skill that takes a little bit to get around, and you have to do a little bit of work to do
Anyone
it
who's
well.
used ChatGPT or similar knows how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you want to go beyond that, learning to understand how the different AI components product generate an output. That's really important, because once you have that understanding and you go and work with a product, you understand why the product is giving you that output. I think that's quite important.
It is important, and I think there's a broader question of data literacy within the organization. The more an organization is leveraging data, the better the understanding of the underlying data needs to be amongst the broader team, so they can work with confidence in that environment.
I think the whole concept around understanding data is very important. A lot of the organizations look at data from a very siloed perspective, and I know people always in technology always say, your data is siloed, but it's so true that we keep coming back to the same predicament, right? And if we had to talk to someone about implementing AI in marketing, AI in sales, my first question is, okay, what do you have now that holds your data? How structured is the data? How good is the quality? Do you rely on the data? Will you rely on anyone making decisions on the data you have? Is that data integrated into an ecosystem? Is it updated regularly? Are you guaranteeing the quality of the data? I think those are a lot of the questions around, whether you can plug AI into it. Where do you think things are going in this regard? Do you think organizations are going to be able to integrate AI into their day-to-day operations effectively?
Well, I think many will, and it's already clearly emerging as an area of it's a competency of competitive advantage, you might say. There will be successful businesses that aren't deploying AI very effectively. It'll just become harder to be a successful business that doesn't do that. And so, as with any other area of competency, this is a game that people have to improve if they don't want to disadvantage themselves.
Yeah, so it's a must. You have to learn.
I think it is. It kind of past that tipping point, I feel, into being an essential competency.
I sometimes listen to these words that everybody keeps repeating. AI is not coming after your job. And I don't know if that's true. I think to an element, to a big degree, I think AI will replace a lot of jobs. So it's not about being comfortable with the idea that AI will take over your job. It's about you learning new things that you need to learn to do.
Yeah.
And as an individual, as a team, as an organization.
No, I think that's right. I think that's right. I mean, there are potentially whole industries that will be shaken to their foundations over the course of the next couple of years as the technology that we're seeing the first and second generations of becomes more and more widely deployed. But I think most industries will already find themselves in a position where learning something of how to deploy AI for an efficiency improvement is becoming fairly essential if they just want to remain broadly competitive. And I think, accepting one or two industries where AI may become completely replace what are currently kind of skill held by humans, most industries are in the position of just having to figure out themselves
what's the right level
and how to do this so that we remain competitive and are then in a position to take innovative opportunities as they come along.
Yeah, I think from some research that I was reading, the legal sector is the one that will be most widely affected because of the use of natural language processing and machine learning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's already the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are a lot of companies who've either been able to reduce their workforce or expand their areas of operation enormously through essentially NLP-based systems for absorbing legal texts and producing answers that make sense. And I think it's probably a lot that one and maybe accountancy, and there's actually quite a lot of those core professions.
It's a repetitive task.
Right. A smart person can absorb information and they can make a decision and answer questions based on that information. But you now just need fewer smart people because the nature of the information and the nature of the engagement between the information and the customer is such that it can be deployed effectively in a digital and AI
when you think about it, it's all about the reliability of the data, right? So in the legal space, you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of documents that repeat over and over how the law has been applied in certain cases.
Yeah.
So the AI engines learn from that.
Yeah.
Because it's a reliable source to make decisions, to understand the data.
That's right, and that knowledge is there. That knowledge is cumulative, isn't it? An individual can gen up on case law, but then they move on, and whereas an AI builds that knowledge into everything that it will do at scale moving forwards.
This is we work with another software vendor called Ada that is also being really interesting to see what they're able to do in almost plug and play. They plug into your knowledge base and they're able to immediately deliver an output, an intelligent output as a response. But we have that content in another episode, another podcast. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about this subject, we are releasing a report on the impact of AI into sales and marketing teams. I think that's all we have time for today, but thank you very much, Tom. It was really interesting.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you in the next podcast. If you want to engage with us, just reach out directly to me, and I'll be happy to have a conversation. Thank you very much.